90% of great photography has nothing to do with your camera or your camera settings. In my experience, that accounts for just 10%. And today we're going to look at the other 90% of what I think great photography is made of. And by the end of the video, you'll understand exactly what I mean by that 90% and 10% statistic. So people who take the most compelling photographs time and time again have a kind of a secret, and I've spent 20 years studying this through my own photography. I've seen firsthand how using these secret methods is the quickest way to be successful in any genre of photography, from landscape photography and beyond. And if you want to take the best photographs you've ever taken and develop your own unique style, then these are the 7 secret techniques that you need to know. So you're walking or cycling or driving or simply looking around, and suddenly a scene opens up in front of you and something catches your attention. That's the moment you need to lock onto. So don't ignore that moment, because it's the most important part of taking a visually compelling photograph. Without it, your photos will always be hit and miss. You probably won't even know what you've seen, and you might not even be able to explain why you've stopped. But your subconscious has already noticed something, and it's feeding that information into your conscious mind as a simple feeling. So don't ignore that feeling. In my 20 plus years of taking photographs, I found that the initial spark is almost always the strongest photo that you'll find in that location, because it's your raw, honest response to that scene. The mistake that most beginners make is dismissing this feeling because they can't explain it without conventional rules. But Ansel Adams described this perfectly as instinct, intuition, and experience combine in fearful and wonderful ways to create the instantaneous assertion of the spirit. And so if you don't believe me, believe Ansel Adams. So the technique here is this: you stop, you trust the instinct first, then use your technical skills to work out why you stopped, move around, simplify the frame, and find what your subconscious already saw. And those techniques are what we're going to cover in the rest of this video. And that's also where your unique style will develop. Once you've had that moment of inspiration, don't just start firing off photographs. You need to stop and ask yourself one simple question. Why did I stop? What was it that caught your attention? Was it the light, a shape, a color, some geometry that caught your attention? Maybe it was just something that you can't quite put your finger on. And the important thing is to identify that trigger. This is where you need a little discipline. Don't immediately start clicking away and hope that you'll find the photograph afterwards. Just take a moment to work out what your subconscious noticed in the first place. It will be there. You just have to trust your subconscious. Because once you know why you stopped, you're going to have something to build your composition around. The next step is to identify what you're actually looking at. So take the whole scene in front of you and mentally break it down into individual objects. And don't just think about obvious things like trees, buildings, or people. Treat everything in the scene as an object that you can choose to include or leave out. So to that end, the sky is an object, shadow areas are objects, even the horizon is an object, even an empty area of the frame is something that you choose to keep in or out. And this changes the way that you see the scene. Instead of looking at one 180-degree view, you're now homing in on the objects in the frame that caught your attention in the first place. And once you start seeing the scene in that way, you're going to have much more control over the photograph you're about to make. Now you've identified all the objects in the scene, you need to make one important decision. What is the photograph of? In other words, where do you want the viewer's eye to go to first? Because that will be your subject. And again, same rules apply. Your subject doesn't have to be a conventional object. It could be a person, a tree, or a building, but also it could just as easily be a patch of light, a shape, a color, and so on. The important thing is that you know where you want the viewer to look first. And once you've made that decision, you can start arranging everything around it. Because if you don't know what the photograph is of, you're asking the viewer to work it out for you, and that's going to spoil the photo. They won't want to look and linger at your photo, and that's going to risk creating a less compelling image. And when you're making the photo, you have to understand that the viewer doesn't exist yet. And so you need to be selfish, decide where you want the viewer's eye to go first, and build the composition around that. Then let the viewer in the future interpret the photograph however they want. But when you take the photo, the viewer doesn't exist. So be completely selfish as the photographer. Now you found your subject, this is where you build the composition. So forget the rule of thirds. Instead, look at the space and relationships between everything in your frame. Make sure that every object is instantly recognizable, and don't let two objects merge together, or let an object awkwardly touch the edge of another object or the edge of the frame. If someone is walking or running, make sure their limbs actually show what they're doing, because these tiny things affect how comfortable the viewer feels when looking at the photo. Then look for anything distracting, an awkward gap, a bright area, or anything pulling attention away from the subject. And things like dark shadows or bright highlights can be dampened down and equalized in post-processing. So don't forget that, because post-processing is an important part of the creative process too. And don't do any of this mechanically using grids, because there is no need to apply the rule of thirds grid. All you need to do is look at the relationships between objects and trust your instinct. Because when you stop following rules and start responding instinctively, you're much more likely to get perfectly balanced images. And if all of this feels a bit vague at first, that's completely normal. This is probably the hardest part of photography to learn, because you can't reduce it to a list of rules. You might be standing in front of a scene thinking, what am I supposed to do here? Because you've got 10 different pieces of advice running through your head from blog posts and YouTube videos, and suddenly you don't know what to do with it all. Well, don't worry about any of that, because the vagueness you're probably feeling right now is just the beginning of the process. And the more photographs you take in this manner, the more you're going to start recognizing those little feelings, and you're going to start noticing what makes you stop, what makes a composition work and what doesn't work. And your instincts will start to feel much stronger over time. And what once felt vague starts slowly to become much clearer. But it does take time, and if you want to lessen the time that it takes, you need to practice those processes over and over again. So never try to get it right every time. Embrace failure, because that's going to allow you to get all of that anxiety out of your system. So just get out there, trust your first reaction, take the photo and learn from what you take, and make as many mistakes as you need to make, because no one has to see any of those mistakes, and you will learn from each one of them. So the technical stuff can be learnt from a manual, but this softer 90% takes practice, and you can only really learn that soft composition stuff with practice. But once you start developing it, that's when your photography really starts to become your own. So all of that is the 90%, with the 10% being your camera, your settings, and the technical stuff, which does matter, but it isn't what makes a photo. The 90% is everything we've just covered: seeing, responding, deciding, and composing. So now you know what I mean by the 90%, but what happens when you just can't find that inspiration, no matter what you try? Well, that's where this video here will come in really handy, because that shows you how to use Symmetry to create a solid composition, also using everything that you learnt in this video. But Symmetry is great when you're a little short on inspiration and you want to get that photography mojo back again.